Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and welcome to my Storyteller horoscope for you for March 2019. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, if you'd like to book a live reading. Also, if you love the way I teach astrology and want to learn, there may be some slots in my astrology apprenticeship program. You can see more about and order my book, Radical Prayer, Transform Your Life and the World in 28 Days, which has now become an Amazon bestseller. So you can see more about that at anniehelpsyou.com or at radicalprayerbook.com. So for March 2019 for Libras, we've got lots of things to talk about. We've got a full moon in your sign. It's a supermoon. It's going to carry lots of intensity. So I want to show you where in the chart that's going to be for each of the early, middle, and late degree placements. We have Jupiter continuing to move through an auspicious angle for Libra placements. So I want to talk about more of those details. And we've got Pisces energy prevailing. And this is going to bring a lot of introspection and consideration about people pleasing for you. The Libra energies are really, really amazing at instinctively knowing what other people need and giving that to them. So this is a time where it may be time to consider speaking up, and if not yet, getting a plan together to start to assert some of your needs. So I've got so many more details that I want to talk about, but I'd like to use the visuals that I've been using so that you can see the charts that I'm talking about. So let's go into lots of juicy details about Libra for March 2019 now. Hello, Libra friends. Okay, so now I want to show you the visuals of the summary that I just gave you. Also, I will go into more details about the topics that I discussed as being especially relevant for Libras this month. So the first thing we need to do to go deeper is to figure out where in the 30 degrees spectrum of Libra you are. It's divided into threes. The early degree placements are pretty much the September born, or 0 to 9 degrees. Middle degree is about the first 10 days of October, 1st through 10th, or 10 to 19. And late Libras are around October 11th through the rest of the sign, or 20 to 29 degrees. And this report does work for you if you are a Libra rising or Libra moon. The moon, the rising, the sun, these are all different viewpoints that we look at the transits through. And if you have Libra in any of those important placements, then this window is going to be one of the windows out of the house that you are living in. So it will be relevant for you. All right, so if you missed that, then please rewind it to go back and get that short up. Now I want to talk about the things in more detail that I mentioned. Okay, so the first thing is about the full moon being in your sign. Whenever we have a new moon, a full moon, something of note in our sign, the energy takes on more significance. So there's fullness. So basically this is March 20th, or in the days around there, depending on your time zone. You can look up to see exactly when that full moon is for you. But even in the days before, there's a lot of power around this full moon. I've been talking about how for January, February, March, we have 3 supermoons in a row. Supermoons are when the moon is actually closer to the earth. So the gravitational effects are stronger and it adds more intensity. You may have noticed now that we've gone through the lunar eclipse, that was a supermoon. Of course, it was an eclipse, so it would be more powerful than a regular full moon anyway. But still, this lunar eclipse packed a major punch, and part of that was because it was at the first degree of the sign, which is 0 degrees, and part of it was because it was a supermoon. Okay, so we've got 3 months of full moon supermoons, and this is the third one. So lots of intensity around this. People often have trouble sleeping in the days before. So this is occurring around the 20th of March, but sometimes people feel this 5 days a week, something before, depending on how sensitive you are. So things coming to fruition, completion, dramatic endings, dramatic things being brought to light, happy outcomes in the area of partnerships and relationships is especially highlighted, but also that's for every sign, but specifically for Libras, this full moon is very much about either your image, what you're bringing out into the world. You early degree placements, very early degree placements it's more focused on, what you're doing, what you're bringing out, what how you look, how you're presenting yourself, what you call yourself. And while some of these themes may also carry over to middle and late degree placements, the actual full moon for y'all is occurring in the 12th house. So this has to do more with the psychological aspects of being. This can have fears, addictions. This can have, your mental space, like genetic memory, ancestral memory, past life, childhood things. So basically, the cosmic consciousness. So it could throw your mind off a little bit. Those who are prone to kind of getting off a little bit mentally, this could be very ungrounding. So just be really careful and do all of your grounding and protection, and have your, the people that help you in place around this, or your resources that you use. But this is a time of major potential breakthrough for you all. And this is early, middle, and late. So finally facing something, I always call this the Harry Potter placement, because this 12th house really is this, where he has all of these things in his mind that he's like, oh, I'm afraid of that. And then they reflect into the outer world, right? Because we live in a holographic reality. So if something's in your mind or somewhere in your consciousness, it pops out into the external. And this is our experience. But it starts in the internal. So things around us can become very vivid and strong and very frightening even sometimes. But when you overcome them and realize that you can heal that within yourself, then often the outer reflection shifts. So this is a huge time of potential empowerment for you. Facing fears, facing things and getting through them, or just having general spiritual breakthroughs or major awarenesses. And that's for all of you. Okay, so Jupiter has been continuing to accentuate early and middle degree third houses. Some of you late degree placements might have been getting whispers of this in this early 2019. Most of you still have the Jupiter stories here in the second house. So we're watching Jupiter as he continues to move here before he goes retrograde in April. So bringing expansion, for early and middle and some late, expansion to your communication, to your transportation, your methods of interacting with people, things involving siblings could be very notable, or aunts and uncles, cousins, nephews, nieces, things like that. And the later degree placements, there's still a lot of strong energy around trying to expand your finances and your value system and your self-esteem as it relates to earning money. There's going to be a special boost this month, especially to those of you whose birthdays are around October 10th through the 15th, because Jupiter is going to be moving through 21 to 24 degrees of Sag, and that's going to make a trine with your Libra placement. So that's extra sweetness, extra expansion, extra awesomeness, wherever your Jupiter is at. So look for those breakthroughs and possibilities. But in general, Jupiter is extra enhancing for all Libra placements at this time, because Sagittarius is 60 degrees away from Libra, which is a favorable angle in astrology. So Jupiter's movement, whatever it's doing, going forward, going backwards, while it's in Sag, it's especially boosting to Libra placements. So take advantage of that expansion. Also take advantage of where you may need to take a rest this month, because the Jupiterian expansion can get very exhausting. And since it is in such nice synastry, it could be expanding you even more, which could be making you tired and kind of burnt out. So definitely take advantage of the time to rest, especially in the first several weeks here, because the planets are, the personal planets are moving through Pisces, and this is more of kind of an internal, quiet, resting, reevaluation time. But once we get to March 20th and the sun moves into Aries, that's going to start a sequence of personal planets coming to oppose, make a 180-degree angle, to your Libra placements. That'll start in March, and then that will continue into April. So when that happens, it's very overstimulating. It's very much this dynamic of me versus we, taking your own personal space, looking to see where you need to speak up, in certain places where you're people-pleasing and you need to assert gently and lovingly, hopefully, your own stories, but that can come in conflict to your relationship space. And it doesn't even have to be in conflict. It can be gentle and fully supported by your partners or people that you're in relationship with. But The first several weeks of the month is more kind of like this introspective, working with your own emotions, healing your own issues. And then as the end of the month comes, it starts to move into this time where you start bringing those revelations out to tell people how they can support you with the things that you've figured out and the places you've shifted. Okay, so those are the things that are most on my mind for Libra this month. Now I want to give you my top general transit picks of things to watch and other information that will definitely be showing up for you. So I'm going to go into all that now. So the general transits of March 2019 carry the energy of sudden changes amidst a quiet rest. March continues the trend that started in February of 2019 with more sweet aspects than challenging ones, which is very exciting. So this dreamy and creative Pisces energy is going to dominate the month of March. Then around the 20th, as the sun moves into Aries, the climate will change, the energy will change, but most of the month is covered in this quiet creativity after this push of the window that we had that opened at the end of December and went into the end of February, beginning of March. So it's a great time to experiment and work in the backdrop. Things from the past are very likely to come back. Blessings from the past, things you've done from the past, projects from the past, people from the past. There's a strong tilt with the retrograde energies. So Mercury will officially be in retrograde from March 5th through the 28th. Depending on your time zone, those dates could toggle a little bit. But the whole month, and even starting February 19th and going to April 17th, there's the retrograde transit, because there's a pre-transit shadow period and a post-transit shadow period when the energies are starting to shift. So it's a long transit. Making commitments to short-term arrangements could be perfectly fine, but just know that in general, the energy shows a shorter term agreement or a shorter term energy. So things that you do in this time, if you're intending them to be long term, they often wind up being shorter term than expected, or if they do make it into the long term, they get seriously called into question or have to change dramatically in order to be able to persevere. But for short term things, interim plans, things like that, it can be perfectly fine. It's great for trying on things, continuing with things you've already been doing, editing, anything like that. Also watch paperwork and other agreement details carefully, because Mercury ruling communication can interfere with the clarity of information that you get at this time, and things agreed to will likely be shifted, or you might not know all the information. Also, things involving transportation are more likely to come up. So problems with your car, trips, changes to plans, those are all common. But in general, the month has definitely more sweet aspects than challenging ones, and it's a very nice rest in between these push points. Okay, so once we start to get into April, it's going to be time to push again, and you'll start to feel that energy starting at the end of March, but it's going to brew and get stronger and more clear as we get into April. One of the twists, or the big twist this month, is amidst this smooth and introspective flow, Uranus is moving back into Taurus to stay until, you know, years from now. So generally the transit is around 7 years. It popped in last year to Taurus and then it went out. And as you may recall, the energy as it popped in is, or was, instigating earthquakes and volcanic eruptions and wild weather that has still continued. Also, there have been a lot of things going on in the news that relate to the breakup of old systems and the solidity of intact systems that are getting disrupted. And Uranus moving through Taurus, this is very typical of that energy. So these kind of changes and disruptions and volatility probably will shift. So our relationship to the changes is what we get to have control over. So these changes to old systems can be a very welcome thing if things are stodgy and not working. But in the places where there's some security, sometimes that can be upset in these times. And this goes all the way down, you know, starting at the global level, all the way down to the individual experience. So Uranus bringing changes there amidst this quiet time and beyond. In general, the commitment for, or the recommendation for this time is to keep your commitments as light as possible and as flexible as possible. You can certainly do things, but just know that things that are planned could get called into question. There could be shifts. They could still work out, but there's definitely a lot more of a kind of a last minute flowing, flexible energy that works well with this time. So I'm going to give you the days that there are sweet aspects. Do know that even if I give you a date that's supposed to have a sweet aspect, you can feel that aspect days before or days after. And some days have more than one aspect, with one of them being sweet and one of them being challenging. So you really just need to tune into your intuition with this awareness. The dates I'm going to give you, you can also find written as well as explanations of all the aspects and what you can expect with them when you go to AnnieHelpsYou.com and sign up for my free email newsletter. Then I send out a written version of this general report a month beforehand so that you have it to look at and make your plans and you can understand the energies at play. But in general, try not to stick too heavily to a certain date as being a certain way, because the carryover of the aspects can definitely, stretch over a period of time. So you just kind of have to feel your way through. Okay, so the dates with the sweet vibes: March 2nd, 6th, 8th, 9th, 13th, 14th, 17th, 20th, 27th, and 28th. And the ones to look out for a likelihood of stress and challenges and drama or overstimulation or general awkwardness: March 1st, 5th, 6th, 14th, 15th, 22nd, and 28th. So you can see there are less of those aspects that are more challenging. So I'm just going to hit a couple of other highlights here, some of the dates that are most calling out to me to discuss. The rest of them, like I said, you can sign up for the newsletter and you can see all of my aspects that I put on here for you in the newsletter. Okay, so on March 1st, it kind of starts out with a bang with an aspect with Venus and Uranus. So often that can bring jolts to love or money or your certainty or self-esteem. So just kind of look out for that. But there is another sweet aspect, or a sweet aspect the day after, that could kind of help to bring a happy outcome from that, or could soften the energy. The days around March 5th, Mercury actually goes retrograde, and there's more awkwardness around the before and after it changes station. So, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, more awkwardness, more changes. Just try to keep your scheduling light. One of the big days of the month is March 6th, the new moon at almost 16 degrees of Pisces, and this is also going to be conjunct Neptune, the Sun conjunct Neptune. So you can check out my blog if you go to Annie Helps You, or if you just search for Making Powerful New Moon Wishes in Pisces, you can find my blog that helps to guide you using that energy in the best way for creating the life of your dreams. But in general, this is an extremely dreamy and introspective month, and this moon is especially so because of that, because of the sign it's in and because of the Neptune aspect. But it's an artist's delight, and I really love this time for rest and retreat and rejuvenation, and being surrounded by inspiration, going to an inspiring place. Definitely watch your security all month, but this particular transit, things going on behind, your conscious knowing with internet or home or other security, just be on guard there. Okay, March 6th is the date that Uranus moves back into Taurus. Sometimes we see things happen to the date or very close to the date that are notable, although things have already been happening since Uranus has been marching back towards Taurus. Things have been really getting stirred up over the last couple of months. All right, some sweet aspects and challenging aspects that I listed the dates already, but the other big date I want to talk about is that full moon at 0 degrees of Libra on March 20th. I talked about this in some of the individual reports as well, but this is the 3rd supermoon in a row. And it's the 3rd one at 0 degrees, which is the 1st degree of the sign. So this is denoting major new beginnings, major clean slates, major breakup of old ways, some of those ways we don't want to leave, and so we could be resisting, but some of it could be welcome change that we've been working for a long time, and just sort of karma clearing up, and lots of magic. I really love this full moon, even though it will be intense for better and worse. Full moons are always intense, but this is also a supermoon, and it's also at the that 1st degree. So think about the intensity that we had at the eclipse time around January 21st, and then the full moon in February. Those supermoons tend to bring more emotion and more power to the experience. This is also the spring equinox. This is also the first day of the astrological new year, which is a very exciting time to do a vision board. Also, the new moon in Aries, which will happen in April, is one of the other best times to do a vision board, planting seeds for what you would like to create in your life. But this March 20th time is very, very powerful, very, very powerful. There's also 3 awesome aspects that are occurring simultaneously. Mars in Taurus is trining Pluto, and Mercury in Pisces is making a sweet aspect to Saturn, or maybe that was it. So there's 2 aspects. And those are just adding to the beautiful, powerful nature of this time. So then on March 28th, we have, or the 27th, depending on your time zone, Mercury is going direct. So again, the awkwardness around those dates, to just be extra careful driving, walking, with your communications, your devices, don't drop them in the toilet. This is more likely to happen during these Mercury retrograde cycles where your cars or other vehicles or communication devices need some attention or extra care. Don't text while you're driving. Don't text while you're walking, if you can help it. Oh, one other thing, we started out the month with that challenging aspect with Venus on March 1st, and now we end the month with a sweet aspect with Venus. So sweet surprises in money and love can come with this one. So it's a nice counterbalance to that jolt at the beginning of the month. So if you love how I do astrology and you'd love a live reading, you can go to anniehelpsyou.com, click on Work With Me, and see my astrology coaching section. If you would love to learn astrology because you resonate with how I teach, there may be some slots left in my astrology apprenticeship program. I would love to have you aboard. If you think I go into details in the reports, then you should see the details I go into the astrology apprenticeship program. Definitely check out my new book, Radical Prayer, Transform Your Life and the World in 28 Days. It has already become an Amazon bestseller, so it's very exciting. So you can either go to radicalprayerbook.com, or you can search for my name and Radical Prayer in Amazon. Also, that should start to be available internationally at different booksellers. You should be able to get that at kind of brick and mortar bookstores as well. So go to anniehelpsyou.com, go to cozybysweetstarlight.com for written horoscopes from me. I also do a write-up talking about different things than I do in the videos that supplement, and if the videos are a little bit intense, the cozybysweetstarlight.com horoscopes are the antidote to that. They're super light, super easy to follow, and give you some different aspects to understand. Okay, so you can go to my husband's website, iamhelios.com, iamhelios.com. He does tarot readings. He also does some astrology readings, and he does visual work with audio-visual work. So you can check out his offerings there. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.